Hi, boys and girls. For today's lesson, you're going to need your reflections book out. You're going to need your chart with the four regions on it: coastal, mountain, central valley, and desert. You're going to need something to write with as well. Please follow along as I begin reading. I'm on page 28, lesson 3, climate and vegetation. It's a warm, sunny day where you live. You have plans to go to the beach with your family. You pack your boogie board, swimsuit, beach towel, sunglasses, and sunscreen. Your neighbors have also planned a day outdoors. They're loading their cars with jackets, gloves, and boots. Have fun at the beach, they say. We're going snowboarding. Because of California's location, landforms, and bodies of water, the weather in one part of the state may be very different from that in the places just miles away. Weather and climate. How would you describe the weather where you live? You could talk about the temperature. You could also talk about the wind and precipitation. Precipitation is water that falls to Earth's surface as rain, sleet, hail, or snow. The temperature, precipitation, and wind in a place on any given day make up the weather. The kind of weather a place has most often year after year is its climate. Because California is such a large state, different regions of the state have very different climates. California, like the rest of the United States, is located between the equator and the North Pole. This means that the temperature in California fall between the year-round heat of most places at the equator and the year-round cold of most places near the North Pole. In general, however, temperatures are cooler in Northern California than in Southern California. As we look at these two pages, boys and girls, please go back and look at your text features, read any captions. Please look at the maps that you see here. Also, ask yourself if you know what this word means, precipitation. That's an important word that you're going to need to know throughout this lesson, and we talked about it today in our Zoom lesson. Be sure you know what that word means. We also are going to be talking a lot about climate, especially in the next few pages. Climate is a word you should know. So ask yourself, what does it mean? And if you don't know, go back and read that part. Okay, please turn the page. I'm going to start off by reading about the coast and the Central Valley. The Pacific Ocean also affects the climate in California. The ocean helps warm the land near the coast in the winter and cool it in the summer. Winds in California generally blow from west to east. They often bring cool, wet air from the Pacific Ocean. This causes much of California's northern coast to be rainy and foggy. In most years, more than 80 inches of rain fall on the northern coast. Because of all this rain, some of the world's tallest trees grow along the northern coast. Some California redwoods, also known as coast redwoods, grow taller than 350 feet. That is as tall as a 30-story building. Farther south, the climate becomes drier. While San Francisco gets about 22 inches of rain each year, San Diego gets far less, about 10 inches. Parts of the Central Valley have an even drier climate. Grasses, bushes, and small trees are the main vegetation or plant life in these drier areas. Okay, at this point, I do want you to pause the video and take out your chart and your pencil. We just read about the coast and the Central Valley. So in this column here, where it says climate and vegetation, I want you to write down some things you learned about the coastal region, and I want you to skip down here to the Central Valley region, and I want you to write with bullet points some things about the Central Valley region. This chart is not going to have enough room for complete sentences, so you can just jot down notes that you learned about that region. So go ahead now, pause it, and then we'll come back and we'll read about the mountain region. The mountain region. Mountains also affect climate in California. Temperatures usually drop about 3 degrees for every 1,000 feet of elevation. Because of this, on a warm day along the coast, there might be freezing temperatures and snow in the mountains. In California, most precipitation falls on the western sides of the mountains. As wet air blows in from the Pacific Ocean, it is pushed up the mountains. The air cools as it is pushed up. Clouds form and rain or snow falls. Large amounts of snow fall on the Sierra Nevada in most winters. John Muir once described winter there. He wrote, "Storm succeeds, follows storm, heaping snow on snow until 30 to 50 feet has fallen." It is not surprising then to learn that Sierra Nevada means snowy mountain range in Spanish. Among the trees that grow in the Sierra Nevada are the giant sequoias. They do not grow nearly as tall as the coast redwoods, but their trunks can reach more than 80 feet around. The General Sherman, a tree in Sequoia National Park, is Earth's largest tree at 275 feet tall and 103 feet round. All right, again, boys and girls, be sure you've looked at the text features. It helps to build that visual of what I'm reading about or what we are reading about. I also want to point out the compass rose to you on this map that I've read a couple times now talking about things that happen in the West. And if we remember that the West is that Pacific Ocean, it really will help us when we think about how the winds blow or where more snow falls. Go ahead and pause the video now and take out your chart, and you're going to tell me about the climate and the vegetation that we are going to see in the mountain ranges of California. Okay. Moving to the desert climate, please follow along. Mountains affect California's climate in another way too. They act like huge walls that block humid or moist air from reaching the eastern side of the mountains. Places there lie on the drier side of the mountains in the rain shadow. In the rain's shadow's driest areas, deserts form. Death Valley once went without rain for 760 days. Only plants that do not require a lot of water, such as cacti, can grow there. Severe weather. Sometimes California has dry spells that last longer than normal dry season. A long time with little or no rain is called a drought. Droughts can cause severe problems, especially for farmers. Crops can die and soil can blow away. Droughts can also increase the threat of forest and brush fires. In 2003, a huge brush fire burned areas of San Bernardino and San Diego counties. Many people lost their homes. Too much rain can also cause problems. In most years, the Feather River Valley in Northern California gets less than 32 inches of rainfall. But in January 1997, the area received 25 inches of rainfall in just a few days. In the floods that followed, 8 people died and many bridges and roads were washed away. Boys and girls, the desert climate, this part right here that we read at the beginning, that's where you're going to stop and look for the information that should go right here on your chart for the desert region. The other information about severe weather is important because it tells how those regions can change depending on what our weather is doing. Take a minute to look at your different graphic features here. You have a lovely chart down here, a diagram that tells you about what's going on in the sky, as well as what it looks like when people are fighting forest fires or plant fires. I'm not sure where that fire is at, in Southern California somewhere. So make sure that you've done a great job on this chart, because tomorrow in class, we're going to be going into some breakout rooms and we're going to be discussing the information that we found. And I want to make sure you're all participating. Everybody in the group should have something to participate. All right, remember to do your best.